Space Jam: A New Legacy is out theatrically and on HBO, exactly 25 years after the original film, in which Michael Jordan had to help Bugs Bunny and other animated characters win a basketball match against evil aliens. This new one stars LeBron James instead, and first off, an observation that this time around the title Space Jam has literally nothing to do with the plot of the film. And the plot is that LeBron goes into a meeting at a Warner Brothers where he is pitched an idea for, well, whoever the fuck knows what it's supposed to be. A movie series, something else. It's never really explained. We don't know. In any case, the computer algorithm played by Don Cheadle figures out that combining the existing Warner Brothers properties from all the years with LeBron's current fame is the recipe for success. LeBron says no, this is a terrible idea, which is an amazing unintended meta commentary, by the way, because he is absolutely correct. It is a terrible idea. And it's funny to me that Warner Brothers kind of low-key suggests that all of their modern movies are made by an algorithm that connects some of the old stuff that we know with some of the new stuff that we know, and yeah, often it is terrible. So then LeBron and his son get captured into the cyberspace called the Serververse that contains all those properties owned by Warner Brothers, such as Harry Potter, Matrix, DC, Casablanca, It, Game of Thrones, of course Looney Tunes as well. And for some reason, Cheadle offers LeBron a deal. You get a team, you have to gather a team for yourself. You get a team, you play a basketball match against my team. If you win, you're free to go. If not, you stay here forever. But what LeBron doesn't know is that the other team will be led by his son, who is more interested in video games, video game design, than basketball, which is a problem for LeBron, and so playing the actual match is also an opportunity for the father to try and better understand his son. Alright, so I haven't actually rewatched the original Space Jam in a good while, but I have very fond memories of it from my childhood. And sure, perhaps the film isn't as good as I remember it, but one of the things that I do recall is Michael Jordan's role in it. And the fact is that, yes, he was the superstar of the film, but when the movie is starting, when the plot is just beginning, he's actually an underdog just as much as the Looney Tunes. This was when he first retired from the NBA. He was playing baseball for a while. In general, the setup was that he's a washed-up player now, and he was the butt of many jokes in the film. The new movie contrasts with that by having LeBron always be the best, always the most popular, the king, almost the second coming of Jesus. I can't count how many times the various characters sing praise of him, and even the first scene with Cheadle is him essentially giving a speech. The LeBron is a god of basketball and social media. It's very jarring because it seems so much like a vanity piece for LeBron. Like his idea of having fun with the film is that everybody just constantly recognizes how amazing he is. And that just looks pretty embarrassing if you ask me. Now, putting that aside, there is another problem. There's a lot of problems, but the movie feels like two different films put together. One is Bugs Bunny stranded alone in the Toon world because everybody else moved out, and he's traveling across other movies and worlds and universes to gather the Looney Tunes back together, which is an amazing concept, by the way, with the characters being inserted in place of like Superman or Trinity in Matrix, but also having them be like those scenes are in the respective styles of the movies. Like when we get to Casablanca, everything's in black and white. When the characters go to Metropolis, the animation resembles the DC shows with Batman and Superman. And then the second movie is LeBron playing basketball with his son. The problem is, I think there really was no reason to combine the two. There's a very distinct point in the film where the adventures with Looney Tunes, which are fun and filled with all these classic jokes and callbacks to those cartoons, suddenly end and the match begins. And by the way, I'm not even joking. When that happens, the tunes are suddenly moved from 2D animation to 3D CG animation style, which looks much, much worse. And the match part is just a massive nosedive in every respect. First of all, the game they're playing is not exactly basketball because there are superpowers, power-ups, combos, style points, and so on. And the rules are never actually explained, neither to us nor the characters. So they play and shoot baskets, and they're completely arbitrary amounts of points being added to the score. Like at one point, somebody does some crazy move and they get like hundreds of points. What? Okay, so I was watching it thinking, I have no idea what's going on. I don't know what the rules are. So how can I like care about it? It just doesn't make sense. I'm watching the one team has 1,000 points and the other one has 20, but I don't know if this is a significant difference or not because the 1,000 points can apparently be earned just like that. So there's I don't have a frame of reference to get engaged into the film. And then it doesn't even look that great because the whole like basketball court is obviously filled with CGI and the CGI is pretty weak and gets worse the longer we go on. At one point, Don Cheadle joins the match as well, but he becomes like a giant Hulk version of himself with his like slightly photoshopped CG face pasted onto that body, and it just looks super creepy. And also, when the match begins, Warner Brothers essentially went, okay, just get all the properties that we own and put them in the audience. Everything. I mean, literally everything. It's one thing to have an Easter egg or two, like Hanna-Barbera characters, animated characters in the background, or King Kong. But then there are some more questionable people in the audience as well, like Agent Smith from Matrix, or White Walkers from Game of Thrones, which are pretty evil characters from adult movies and shows. And isn't this supposed to be a film for kids? And then it goes further, and you also have Pennywise, very visible in many scenes right next to Cheadle. Reminder, Pennywise, the evil clown from Stephen King's It, who was actually an avatar of a space elder god entity that fed on people's fear and routinely ate children. And some people on the internet have also pointed out you can spot the rapist gang from A Clockwork Orange there, from Kubrick's film. And there's a very visible nun, which turns out she's from a 1971 film called The Devils, which is X-rated, and there isn't even a way to buy it anymore because Warner Brothers refuses to release it for fear of controversy. Not R-rated, again, X-rated. What? What is going on with all these characters here? Why do you need to put all this stuff in one place? In a basketball match for kids, it's almost like the producers are just trying to flaunt how much stuff they own. Look, we own this movie and this one, but it feels very all over the place, especially as a lot of those characters look like $5 bootleg cosplay versions of themselves. The most notable example being, again, probably Pennywise, who just basically looks like somebody dressed up as Pennywise on an office party at Halloween. So yeah, anyway, it's kind of a shame that the execution of the movie is so awkwardly poor because even despite the general idea being pretty awful and LeBron not necessarily being a likable star for this type of film, there is a skeleton of a heartwarming story in there about the father coming to terms with the fact that his kid wants to do something else, wants to pursue his own unique passions, which the father doesn't necessarily understand. But the thing is, that is buried deep beneath layers of shit, and unfortunately even the final conclusion of the film as it's executed can be instead read as, if your father is LeBron James, you will never be as good as him at basketball, so you might just do something else, which again is unintentionally pretty funny. Again, it's a shame because there's about 20 minutes of film in here that I really liked, with Bugs Bunny gathering the team, jumping across the different worlds. I would much rather watch more of that film rather than see LeBron James being jacked off on a computer-generated basketball court in front of an audience plucked from every other property imaginable.